Hello, everybody. Hey.
Hey.
Yo. Okay, that's what I need to fix. I gotta make note to myself that, and this is because I don't really like test it all the time, to unmute that with the shortcut. But hey, guys, how's it going? My name is Justin,
Uh,
and you're watching or listening to episode 448 of DangIT Prodcast. Welcome back, everybody. Oh man, dude, it's not like the craziest week that we've had, but like it's been eventful for sure. If you guys have been living in Southern California, you've been noticing a lot of storms.
odd.
We got a lot of rain, some hail, and just this morning, some snow. Just some.
I
No,
know
actually,
y'all not
no,
used
like
to
no,
that.
actually, big time snow. In just the general area. So
That must have
it
been weird for y'all.
it's 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 almost life changing because it's one of those things where like it hasn't like snowed in such a long time, like such a long time. Honestly, I really thought that if I lived in the same area, I probably would not see snow in this area for as long as I lived. And
I don't
then
think
you know,
anyone really expects to see snow in California. They usually expect snow to be like the furthest thing you get.
yeah, it's it's nice that like things you don't have to worry about like rain too much or like that type of stuff. Like the only thing you would ever have to worry about is maybe the occasional like fog, and that's it. But like, nah, we were in for like a big surprise. So I obviously need to go pick up some games like for because like this has been a pretty, I would say it's a relatively big release week. But it was also an excuse to just get out there and just like see what that's like, and didn't disappoint. It was actually really nice and pleasant to see all that. So, but now it's gone. Maybe tomorrow. Like now it's gone. It's one of those things where it's like if it does happen, great. It's only gonna be like for like 10 minutes. Actually, this one lasted for a fair bit, like maybe like an hour. I was like, nice. But yeah, that was very nice. I forgot what I was gonna do. Oh yeah, I was gonna make a quick note. But Mark, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good to hear. Anything happened this past week? I know you're playing Atomic Heart right now, or at least you were.
Not too much is going on.
Okay, okay. How you liking the game so far?
It's pretty good. For most people, it's either you love it or you're like, eh.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha. I think also.
I
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
there is a middle ground. There is a middle ground to that. I say, 'cause I'm like, it's good. Like I wouldn't say it's like, oh my god, but it's like it's good.
Hmm. Okay. What would you say is like the favorite thing that you found, like playing through that game?
Uh, I guess seeing what they're doing with the like, because I was pretty much went in almost I knew of Atomic Heart and had seen a little bit on it, but pretty blind to it mostly. So just
Okay.
going in, seeing what they're doing, seeing what the story is, seeing what it's all about, and I'm just like,
Okay. Okay. I was listening in on some of like clips and whatnot, and I noticed that like the your main character is like kind of it's pretty vocal, not really a silent protagonist or anything like
oh
that.
no, he is very talkative.
Hmm. A lot of people are pointing out some the usual stuff on the on the internet about like the game. Otherwise, the crazy fridge, um,
That fridge is a trip.
the one of the two like I guess female androids, if you will.
The ballerina bots.
Yeah, and people being how they are, talking about it.
I've already seen them in the Jekko pose.
Oh boy.
I was like, yeah, it was a matter of time.
It was. But you know, if it wasn't that, it would be Cammy, right?
Yeah, probably already is Cammy as well.
Yeah. Dude, I was watching Max stream of that, like just watching that live, and that was actually the day that it started hailing pretty hard too. Uh but yeah, that was wild, but like once I saw a post, first of all, I was like, "Oh my god, Capcom! Oh my god!" And then the next thought was, "People are going so crazy right now. I feel I see fingers flying right now.
Shit.
Artists are going like hard at work, so quick, like." Oh my god. The state of play is actually like a big thing. I wanted to like, well, I'm not sure like big thing, but it is one of the big things to talk about like of the past week. Other than like Pokemon stuff, but that's actually just next week as well. Did you get to watch the state of play?
I didn't watch the state of play itself, but I did see some stuff after it.
Ah, okay, got you.
Like I saw the Street Fighter stuff, and I saw the Storm Naruto Boruto Storm connections, and then
yeah, yeah.
I think I saw a couple more. I forget what else there was, but I do remember. Oddly enough, they announced Mortal Kombat 12 in a very nonchalant way.
Yeah, that was some kind of sales thing, right? It was just like sales call or something like that. Just talk about like the general finances of like what's going on with like WB, and
they just basically just said so. Mortal Kombat 12 is coming.
Like yes, like yeah, in that way, but also like it was just very nonchalant. Like it's definitely one of those internal things like that they had like concocted, but then like that just kind of dropped, and it was I guess it was a public stream, so
I love it. It's just like someone did a great image of doing that. Just did Mortal Kombat and put a sticky note on it that said 12.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
That was essentially how it felt. It was like, oh hey,
that's certainly a thing right now. My God, dude. So I mean, that is kind of a bummer, and it's unfortunate that like I guess it was a high representative, if not like the president or something like that, CEO, whatnot, just a higher like position of power, just like dropping that, and it's like, well, that's on him.
Basically.
But regardless, that just means that's a lot for people to look forward to.
It's also the fact that it's this year.
Oh yes, that's right. It wasn't just simply like, oh yeah, Mortal Kombat 12 is coming. It's like, no, it's coming out like this year. Ooh. Well, I wonder how I wonder what the repercussions were. I would love to just be there for just a quick instant, just to hear like what other people were saying. Like, let's just say for example, like Mr. President, yeah, so about what you just said,
Would you like to elaborate? Nope.
Oh, and he's just like, it's whatever. We'll work this out.
It's just a Steve Rogers thing. No, I don't think I will.
No, I don't think I will. My God, dude. But what else is going on? Okay, so with the state of play, from what I recall, and I could honestly just look at the YouTube channel for that. Essentially, they started off with a lot of PSVR 2 because that actually came out this week too. A lot of people have the opportunity to play it. I'm also interested because what I hear is that it's actually like really, really, really good. But it's also more expensive than the PlayStation 5 itself. So I'm also like, I don't know if I really, really want to just try that out. I'm still not quite into that like market for like VR games yet. It's a nice like cool addition to try out, like if it's like a stage demo or something, but to actually own it, I'm personally not sure. I think Phil will definitely give that a try, but that's also like a little further out for him too. But I know like one of the bigger, well, obviously in the state of play, the way that they promoted like the other games for it were a lot of like obvious like first person shooter types of like stuff, and that's cool. There's just a lot of them. So I think things like the Call of the Wild, what was it, Horizon game was super cool. I'm also kind of fascinated by that kayaking one. I'm pretty sure it's just that, and that's it. But things like that's actually really interesting.
Kayaking looks sick.
I don't know, it's about like being in that like world and just engaging in it, and not just being like, oh pew, oh pew 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 pew. That's how I feel. But
my mic didn't pick it up if you didn't hear me. Just like a deflating balloon.
Oh, I didn't hear it then.
It's because I'm laughing what you're saying. He said, yo, I'm not just going pew 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 pew, I'm kayaking. I was like, what the fuck?
Listen, I think like a solid first person shooter is like super good. Therefore, that's why Resident Evil Village is there. I think 7 also, yeah, 7 also has like like the VR support. So I just don't know if it had any updates like with the PSVR 2, because with the original PSVR, it was still nice. I got to try it out at Phil's place, and it was nice and all, but like I couldn't personally get like the headset to like really fit, so it fits snug. It's always like kind of feeling like it wants to slide down just like 1 inch, and that's enough to kind of take away from the experience, because like there's a little like crevice I can see of light. But
You're like, oh, my immersion.
my immersion, dude, it's like I mean, Phil did his best, and I also did my best to just kind of like work with it, and we got it to work to a certain point, get the focus in. And you know, he was playing Moss when I got there because he just got that game. And he then showed off like a couple other ones, if not just Tetris Effect, because I was just like it's a passive way to play the game. But also like integrate like a bunch of like 3D stuff. And I think yeah, I think that's still the way to go if you were to get PSVR 2 as well. But I'm hoping that if I ever get to try that out, that it's a better experience just fitting it into my face and then just playing the games. But otherwise, aside from maybe Tetris Effect and, you know, maybe maybe not Resident Evil, oh my god. Maybe not actually. But I'm just curious as to what other games.
He said, hold up, I'm brave, I'm not that brave.
I'm big chicken, but I'm still chicken.
Just the way you said that made me laugh. Just you said like, because here's the thing.
Mm.
I understand you're not big on shooters, but I imagine there being a big difference between playing a shooter in a VR than playing just a regular shooter.
I think that's super cool. It's like I feel like it's more arcadey, and I think that's like makes it a lot more fun. I can definitely play a first-person shooter. I'm just not too like motivated with it because there's also the stigma of it. Obviously, there's a first person. No, sorry. There's obviously a single player campaign like to every single one of them. That's why like I'm totally into Metroid Prime, for example, but and Doom as well. But otherwise, if you take it out of that context, all you have is like multiplayer, and I've never really gelled with that because of my upbringing. So yeah.
But when you say that, I'm like, but I mean, doesn't every genre have these tropes, these stigmas that come with them?
Yeah, like Fortnite. Like Fortnite's cool, and you know, like I've actually jumped into those multiplayer matches and they're fun, but it's like when I think about jumping back into it, it's like even with the no build, and that's the biggest thing that would win me over, and it was actually a lot of fun because of that. It's like, yeah.
And it's also like I like RPGs, but if I'm gonna sit here and not say that every RPG is very much similar to another RPG, I'd be lying.
This is true. You know, I can't even like. There's no defending that. That's just simply like, it's kind of like a function that's been working. So why like fix that? And then there's also the realm of like, shooters. Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where like, you know, if it's just for you, then like that's totally fine as well. So I mean, like I like RPGs. I like seeing like overall progression. And I like the fact that like when you look over to first person shooters, it's not really like, I mean, there's obviously some RPG mechanics here and there, some upgrades here and there, if anything, but otherwise it just kind of goes down to like your personal development in your handle like at the game, where it's like you're just kind of like getting the ropes. So like Doom 2016, I was just kind of like looking over it, and then I would shoot, I would miss a lot, and then like by the end of the level I would just like I would mid hop and like snap like the right stick just to like get a quick aim at something and like fire immediately at it. It's like it's one of those things. It feels good. It feels good. Yeah.
It feels good, don't it?
Yeah, but I don't know, I haven't really found anything like,
he hasn't found that shooter that tickles his balls.
Well, I think I have, and that's like literally the ones that are like more like that take more of a fictional approach to things, like, well, just things in fiction. Like otherwise,
there's
like if
it's a lot of shooters that do that.
This is true, but like I'm still also like not quite there, like branching out. Like I found the ones that interest me, and I'm not like I haven't sit firmly on that, but I feel like I have just like set root in like certain like franchises that I can like work with, and other ones I just simply kind of observe and think like that's cool. And
He just observes and says, "All right,
that's cool, that's dope for you."
for you, for you."
But I don't know. I would probably jump into it more, but like the backlog.
That backlog just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah. Now I don't. Now I'm second guessing. Like, should I show off the pickups for today? I placed it everywhere else, but just not on podcast because it doesn't stop. Because
bro, Phil had our last game segment last time go for nearly 2 hours.
He did. Yeah, that was
holy shit.
It was. Listen, if you want somebody to like. If you want someone who can span like an hour talking about video games like of a specific event, he's your dude. Like he's like I like he's probably way too busy to be able to do stuff like this like all the time, but like he does a really good job at just kind of like biting your attention, or at least rather elaborating, extrapolating on like specific like genres and franchises and some like back lore as well. Because even though he doesn't have like every single bit of knowledge, he's dealt with it. He really fully embraces like all these different genres, and he just has a lot to say for each and every one of them. So, like, props to him, because I'm pretty sure I can get to that point, but like, I've kind of like found my own path to like kind of like walk with that kind of stuff. Albeit though, he did convince me with the physical pickup stuff, so I have stuff to say about that too. And physical.
I was here to say, and
game preservation.
He gave you a blessing and a curse.
A blessing and a curse. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it before, but did you know that around the 3DS era, nearing the end of it, it actually started with Fire Emblem Fates. It was the situation where they had a special edition that had like a cartridge that had both like Fates, Conquest, and Birthright. And then they had Revelations as like a DLC, like third path, and that was going to be the one true path. The problem was that was digital content only, unless you got the special edition, which had like everything pre-downloaded into it as a cartridge and a bunch of other cool stuff that I was really looking into. I spent so much time just like in a waiting list or refreshing like the stock website, see like if that would like go live and I could pick one up, and I never could do it. So that's where I was like, you know, I'll pick up one copy and I'll get like this like somewhat large, it was a 32 gig micro like SD card, and just like start downloading games going forward, be like a digital like library all the way going forward. And I was going to do that later on, but of course like Phil entered into my life, and he then like guided me towards the teachings of like, you know, even though you have like the digital game, that doesn't mean you fully own it. So things that require some online services and whatnot can actually be revoked. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, you're actually just renting the license to play the game. It's like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
And then further like build up on that, I was talking to like a GameStop owner. Of course they kind of have to say it, but they also have like their own beliefs as well, where it's like, you know, if you're playing like it was a situation where it was a some online match or like a tournament where like some folks were, I guess, caught cheating, and as a result like their own personal account was locked from online play like forever. so those that are online services only, you couldn't play the game. And so it's like, whoa, that's insane. So yeah, there's that. But otherwise, I would say that, like, if, again, like, you know, I think for the average consumer who just kind of plays through a game and doesn't really have, like, a second thought to play it, like, again, after, like, 40 years or something like that, they're good. Like, you can do whatever you want. You can do, like, digital content only. I think some games benefit greatly by being a digital thing so that you can just, like, freely access it on whatever platform. I'm thinking about Smash Brothers. I'm thinking about Mario Kart. Any multiplayer thing, honestly. Like Fortnite's a really good example of like there's not really a physical anymore these days, but it thrives really well as being a multiplayer thing because you could just boot up the game whenever you want. And like if you have a physical for something else, then it's okay. You could just like log into like Fortnite real quick and play a couple matches here and there. Anything that just is multiplayer orientated, perfect for just like a digital download, and you'll be good. Because I mean, it's kind of sad to say it, but those servers aren't always going to be there forever, unless you know you set something up like I talked about it last time, Parsec. Unless you got Parsec going, then you can kind of do that. But I think that might be limited too, but we'll see. But before I go and like talk about that further, like Phil would, let's see what else is going on. I talked about State of Play already, but not all of it for sure. In fact, I think we just kind of hopped off to a tangent after like PSVR 2. Oh no, with that one, super interesting. I just there isn't like the one game that I'm like truly. Oh, that's how we got into first person shooters. Ah, I gotcha. Sorry, it's like boomerang back to me. It's like, oh, that's how we like went that trajectory. It was about the first person shooter stuff in VR being like so like synergized together instead of other platforms or genres, if you will. I think if anything, just real quick, I think PSVR 2 is just really cool as like if you could just put the player into that world just make it more immersive, then I think that alone would be great. Because I was thinking about like what other games could work in that scenario. Obviously driving games is like, and you know, anything that requires you to fly. Like I've heard things about like Battlefront, right? On PSVR 1. And I heard that's been pretty good too. So driving and pilot games, I think, like would thrive greatly about that because it is really just you in the cockpit or in the driver's seat. But I was thinking about like what other genres would really work with that, and it's kind of hard to really like figure one out.
You can make a VR game out of anything.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, I think what would be a kind of a cool thing is if I'm trying to like give it like the RPG type of like twist. Like what would be a really cool example of that? And I thought something as simple as like you overseeing everything like from like a whole third person like overview.
VR League of Legends.
Essentially, where you just essentially where like you see things like out in the background. You don't have to like use your right stick to look, or your mouse in this case. You could just like look up and you're like, oh, way over there's that. If I look behind me, like there's my units over there. In RPGs type of sense, it could be as passive as that, but there's not really a lot to look at. That's the problem. Unless you had the first person, you're that guy who's like, you're waiting for your turn, but you have all these options. It's like, I don't know. Like, I think that'd be kind of cool, but I just don't know how you would go about that. So hoping to see some devs try that.
It depends on how it depends on what kind of game it is.
Yeah. Because, like, if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, magic and swords and stuff like that, and you got, like, turn-based, like, stuff going on with that, like, I can see that in the sense that you're not really moving, so you don't need a left stick for anything. But if you're just selecting, like, menus and stuff like that, or you're trying to, like, cast a spell or, like, swing your sword during your turn, I think that would be kind of cool, but I don't know, like, how far you can make that into something that's super cool and not just, like, a gimmick. Where it's like, oh, you know, like not make it like a demo type of reel of like what we can do with it.
With enough love, anything's possible.
I believe so too. So I guess I'm just kind of waiting to see like what they got cooking. You know, let them cook.
Let him cook. Wait, let him cook.
Wait, let him cook. I'm trying to find.
Someone edited the Watch clip perfectly from Thousand Year Blood War and made him say that. It's amazing. Just like, wait, let him cook.
Let's see. There was a couple other games that were kind of interesting. I think Humanity was like one of them. It's a weird like 3D like Pikmin, not Pikmin. Or maybe it is to a certain extent, but I think it's oh my god, the Lemmings. It's almost like the Lemmings, but you're like this white outlined dog guiding like humans across like these different mazes, and I don't even know what to like say about it, because it really is just like humans with like really weird like ragdoll physics just being guided across as you try to make it to like one like entry point to another. I don't know. It's interesting though. Let me see. They talked a little bit about Destiny 2. I was surprised about that. Destiny 2.
Lightball looks sick.
So that's just an expansion, right, Mark? Just
It's a very, very big story expansion.
cool.
It's a very, very important part to the story.
Okay. Well, it's good to
Especially
know like that Destiny 2 is
just in
still going.
consideration of just like in consideration of like the big plot of Destiny. Like Lightfall is supposed to be a huge chapter in the story.
Hmm. All right. I see. I feel like, yeah, like if I had more time, like Destiny 2 would probably be up my alley. I tried it once when I had it free to redeem, or I think PlayStation Plus was free for me before I decided to go and fully subscribe. I played Destiny 2. I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. This is when I first like got the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's like, okay, well, let me just like do a couple rounds here and see what's available. But that was actually really cool. Granted, I only really got as far as like passing the tutorial, and then I think it was a little bit after the fact that you lost all of your cool gear and everything like that. You got like mollywopped by like that main antagonist at the time, and then you were just wandering around and you found like a little bit of a settlement, something of that nature, and that's where I was like, okay, that's a cool play session. Because
I am God, and your light is mine.
don't take my light. Pause. Reverse.
Reverse.
Also,
Right foot, left stop. Left foot, left stop.
Also, seeing Resident Evil 4, honestly, like, I'm fully aware of the game where it's like obviously I'm not like really big on horror games, but like my brother was really into it, so he bought the GameCube game, or at least we got the GameCube version for it, and that was super cool to watch a play through it. And so we see remake, and you know, I think I'm really curious, and I think I might like try to dive into Resident Evil if I can, starting from like just like at least Resident Evil 1, seeing how that plays out. The remakes for 2 and 3. I played a little bit of 3. Obviously that's not really scary at all, but there's like one segment at least that kind of like gets me going. I never really played 4 personally myself, so I'd be kind of curious to like play this myself. Played Resident Evil 5, so I'm very well like the mechanics there, but it's obviously more of an action game for sure, and did not even touch Resident Evil 6. But I do know about it. Yeah, Resident Evil 4 is looking pretty crazy. I'm kind of echoing Max. I kind of like want to see this become like Game of the Year again. Resident Evil 4 makes a comeback and becomes Game of the Year again. And then afterwards, we got Street Fighter 6. What was it? We had Zangief. We had, I think, was her name Lily? And then, of course, Cammy. Obviously, I'm not like huge on fighting games, but it's one of those things where I can be super casual about it. But this looks crazy. Absolutely crazy. That reveal, that trailer, that made money for people. That got people invested for the not so obvious reasons, and then for the obvious reasons.
Sorry, I had to be one of this.
Oh, Resident Evil 4 looks cool. It'd be kind of crazy if it won Game of the Year. And Street Fighter 6 looks great. Even as a super casual, I'd totally be down. And I know that other people are picking it up since that trailer for the not so obvious and also the obvious reasons.
Correct. For Zangief.
Bruh.
People want him to crush their head between his thighs like Sparrowig.
I wouldn't say that, but but he looks cool.
No, they want Cammy for that. Rightfully so.
She does the I guess that's crazy like move she did in like the movie. And I'm over here like, me? I'm your next target?
It should have been me! It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Cammy's like, all right, go into my next target. And I walk in here like Thor, like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Please. Please. Me, please.
No, just let me. Do you know what's coursing through my veins right now? Cheese whiz? No, thunder.
I love this. I love the wisecracks in that movie.
It's so good.
Do you know what it runs through my veins? Cheese whiz.
I also love the bit where they're talking about like Thanos, like what to do. It's like, you know, if we have this time machine, should we just go back in time and just like with Thanos? All right, okay, that's really dark. It's Thanos. And then they talk about all the like the time like reference movies. It gets a hot tub time machine.
It's a hot tub time machine.
Oh my god. I love that. Oh yeah, I guess we could talk about Ant-Man a little bit later. Yeah, it has been a week, and I know you've seen it. I've seen it. All right, well we'll get to that, but first, I guess I should definitely address this as it's kind of part of the DangIT history. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. So, obviously, like
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
What's going on?
So you didn't see that one coming, did you?
I wasn't expecting it. You know, like obviously CyberConnect 2 was still a thing. They made like the more recent thing that I've seen them make was like, you know, Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles, and that looks really good.
Beautiful looking game.
Yeah, so I mean, like the art style holds up. I look at the old Naruto games and like in like the little showcase they did for this one, the whole package, everything. I was like, it still holds up, but you can definitely see it aging a little bit as far as like finer details here and there. But otherwise, art style is
in connections. It's been updated to modern standards.
Yeah. So, what they're trying to do with Naruto, oh my god, this is it's one of those titles where like I get to like half of like the words and I'm already tired of typing.
Naruto and Boruto Ninja Storm connections.
That's close, right?
It's Naruto Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections, I believe is the name of the game.
Yeah, my god, dude. But essentially, it's an all-in-one package plus a couple of like new playable characters. It's kind of, I think it might really just be like one last like. It acts as a couple things. It acts as a way to like bring all the games into like the current generation if they can really bump it up a little bit, make it all streamlined so they all connect together, and also be a cash grab because you know, it's so good. Like I
love you just tacked that on there out of nowhere. I was like, damn. I was like, damn. I did not expect that. You just came out of nowhere.
But no, like I still appreciate it, and you know, it's gonna be one of those things where I just kind of look at it, I'm like, ah, that's cool, and I just move on. But you know, that's a good point, Mark. It is part of our history, so I think we might revisit this game.
I was going to say, isn't it still one of your most popular videos?
Yeah, which is weird because it's partly due to the fact that you know, this is during the reaction days, so it was just connected to that. People were just curious, but also people were just kind of interested in the game, just generally speaking. And I mean, how could you not? Because like it is like before like Ultimate Ninja Storm, like I think the coolest like looking game that kind of like fit within the universe was like Rise of a Ninja and the sequel to that, Broken Bond. But that was also just me because I know that Ultimate Ninja was like a thing. Phil has said himself that he was a fan of like Ultimate Ninja, but I wasn't. And then like Ultimate Ninja Storm came out, I was into that. He wasn't. I was actually like super excited when they announced Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, not just being for PlayStation like 3, but also Xbox 360. I was like, whoa, holy! It's like we get a taste of this, and
we get a piece of this.
I was so hyped for it because it was just one of those things where like it's probably the smoothest I've ever seen of like an anime fighting game or just anime game in general. So I still hold up to that. Like there's a lot of cool set pieces in the game that I'm looking forward to like looking back on. I'm also curious as to like what other like touch ups are gonna do. If they because like right now if you try to play like some Ultimate Ninja games, you might find issues connecting a lot as far as like finding another person. Because I think like once story mode's done with and whatnot, you don't have to really do story mode. You can just jump right into the game. That is definitely a versus type of game because of the nature of it. So when you lose that, when there's no one playing, then it's kind of like all right. But it's still a game you can just like play like locally, so that's also cool too. But yeah, hopefully this kind of brings in another like batch of like newcomers or even like returning players so that it becomes relevant again. And maybe Cyber Connect 2 will look at the sales on that and be like, I think we should keep making some more games, It may not have to be Naruto, but it could lead to another expansion to this. It could lead to like other games that they'll be working on. Maybe a sequel to like Demon Slayer. Although I think Demon Slayer's been keeping up with like the new like stuff happening each anime arc. So
and I mean, the game is also going to feature its own original story.
The Naruto one?
Yeah.
It's true that it is going to do that.
Because the first two new characters they're adding into the game are,
like they are the one.
Ashura Utsuki and Indra Utsuki.
Zoro's Wrath. Sorry. But kinda, right? But no, I gotcha.
But considering from what I've heard about those two, considering everything started from them, that's pretty big.
That's pretty big. So I mean, I'd honestly kind of be curious as to like them try to add in like other stuff from Boruto at this point. But I also understand that this is Naruto's thing. In fact, Boruto kind of feels like hashed on by like Boruto is connected to Ninja Storm. Since their expansion with 4. So real quick though, I gotta say the box art for this game, not really.
You not feeling it?
I'm not feeling that. Like, I think it peaked at Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, just base game. I thought that was peak. That was the greatest like box art I've ever seen for like these Storm games. And then they showed like the Road to Boruto one. I was like, oh my god, dude, what is this? Look at them just trampling on the old box art. How could they do this? And they bring this back. And I'm like, it's something about the background. I feel like they could fill it up a little bit more with like some like characters here and there, but I get it though. It's Naruto.
Trying to find the box art. I mean, it's nothing super fancy, but it's not bad.
It's not bad, but it's like
it's referencing every. I think it's supposed to be referencing every generation of Storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it ultimately is like that, but I don't know, that background just like I feel like there's something you could do with that. Because I don't think the background represents anything. Like I've never seen any type of pattern like that looks like it like in the show or even the manga where it's just it's a whatever background. But the character are like obviously like the characters like being Naruto, and Naruto. No, that makes sense.
They're him throughout every single stage of Naruto.
I get that. Yeah, I think that's cool.
From kid to teenager to adult.
Well, maybe just a teenager. I don't know if they have him as like adult Naruto. Man, dude.
But it's gonna be over 130 characters to play. They're gonna be adding more characters.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to guess, we're probably gonna see stuff from Boruto put in, like Kawaki and all that.
That'd be really dope. I think if you throw in Kawaki, I'd probably get hyped for that. Or literally him and like the other antagonists we've seen thus far.
Code.
Yeah, Code would be like the more recent one, right? So,
I mean, the most recent chapter had us seeing. I just think it's like I've been curious. So I just looked at it. And the most recent chapter we've seen a whole lot going on in terms of everyone confronting Kawaki after he's trapped Naruto and Hinata.
Yeah.
Like
So
Boruto just lost an eye.
most likely, yeah, I heard about that too. Um,
Protecting Sadara.
yeah,
I was like, oh, so that's how that happened.
I like how it's starting to connect now a little bit more. So even although it shows like Boruto as a teen during like the obvious scene from the very beginning.
Which is like the thing where everyone's like, oh, this is gonna be hype, and everyone's like, what the fuck is this when they see the in between?
We see Sasuke pulling up like during that fight. You're like, oh, and then you think about like the past. You're like, oh no, because obviously like Boruto at the time has his sword. He has like the cloak, so it's like, oh, what's happening? What's gonna happen to him?
And you don't know if it was just passed down or if he died.
Yeah, I will give credit to like the Boruto storyline in the sense that like maybe not the filler. I can't really give a pass on filler stuff, but I would say,
at least from what I've seen, the actual manga doesn't seem too bad.
yeah. But what I like about it is that like with the storytelling, they are like as much as I like. I'm not sure if I put the characters on a pedestal. But I definitely like love it and stay connected to like Naruto and Sasuke as characters, and like the idea of them passing down like the torch to the new generation is really cool. But seeing it this way, where like Naruto loses his powers with Kurama passes. Sasuke loses his like Rinnegan eye, and then the anime of course does him dirty and puts him in like weird situations. But like seeing it that way in the sense that like they're becoming
it is a thing it was a thing in the side manga that did happen.
That definitely happened. What the hell? Shows him fighting dinosaurs. Come on. Hey. It did happen. I know.
Hey, there's probably if like I said, like I don't know how the other I'm sure a lot of fans are like, what the fuck's happening? But I'm also just like, I mean, it happened. So all you can do now is just embrace it, really.
Yeah, really. All you can really do is embrace it. But you know what? Like, I'm not sure if you would agree to this. I saw a TikTok that actually spoke to me a little bit about like, you know, Naruto as far as like the series versus One Piece. Because they were saying that like Naruto has so much potential to make a great story like One Piece, but the difference is that One Piece extrapolates on all these different casts of characters, and Naruto focuses on just like core characters, and then just core characters. Because he was saying that like, you know, if the Hidden Leaf Village was great, then even like with Naruto and Sasuke gone, they would be cool. Like they would be fine. But the story focuses so much on those characters. Their very existence is kind of what keeps like the Hidden Leaf breathing. That
yeah, they are pretty much the guardians of the village.
Yeah. And it's like, you're right, because I think that if obviously like characters like Lee has so much potential to be like, even he may not even like reach that level as Naruto and Sasuke, but like he himself has like can obtain that, and like I mean Guy kind of like exemplifies that, like he
Guy almost stopped Madara.
Yeah. So I don't know, stuff like that. Granted, I think early Naruto did a really good job in like giving a lot of hype behind characters here and there, because whatchamacallit, I was actually watching a little bit of like Naruto Shippuden, and you know me, I love those like the training arcs that they have going on with that, because they talk a little bit more about the background, the setup for things. So history's cool and all, but like just like the power building and scaling in the game, where like it was specifically in the moment where Naruto was learning about chakra natures and like the shape and form of it, learning Rasen Shuriken essentially. And it was just really cool because Kakashi took the time to just talk about like all these different things that Naruto should have learned in school, but he's also like not that bright either. So it's all right. It's for the viewers too, because we never got to learn that kind of stuff either. So
pretty much,
I think that was one of my favorite moments in Naruto, is just simply like talking about like the chakra natures and like seeing Naruto's actual growth towards that, and also giving an insight of like how strong Kakashi is and how like insightful he is. There was even the moment where like Naruto talks to Asuma about like how to do things here and there, and Naruto asks like genuine questions about like, well, why do we do this kind of stuff? Why do we have like these cool tools, but we just still focus on like chakra control and everything like that? And then
It's the ninja way.
Asuma proceeds to show him how important that is. And Naruto's like, I get it now. Holy. And you also feel the same way too.
Isn't that pretty much just I think I remember hearing it, isn't that pretty much just boiled down to, yeah, there's technology, but it's not the ninja way.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what Kawaki is seeking to
yeah
address. He says if you stick to the ninja way forever, you're never going to stop this, you know.
I think also Naruto is like kind of similar to that, because even though like he does Boruto so dirty when he uses the ninja tool for the first time, and Boruto's like, what the hell? Why would you do this knowing what I did? Because it does help, but Naruto's also like, we gotta use all the tools we got, right? And Boruto's like, are you kidding me? This is exactly what I did.
As you say, didn't he use that purple lightning or something to get in trouble for it?
Boruto did a lot. Yeah, he used all these different techniques he didn't really have access to at the time. Granted, I think Boruto's just like grown as a character, but yeah, no, I think Kawaki is right. I think Naruto also is starting to lean towards that. As far as like using other technologies than ninja tools, and I think the characters are kind of better like that way as far as the growth. It makes you really like question about like the old like format of teaching and everything like that, but I don't know. Like, I don't think the way that they kind of portrayed like these stories for Naruto / Boruto, it isn't really geared as far as, you know, talking about like the foundation here and there. It's more about like the characters. It's character focused, character driven, which is also good. I just also like getting like that juicy background stuff. Like,
you're like,
they never even. I don't think they ever like, even talked about like the yin yang of chakra like nature. I was like, what the. Because they really just
there's like a good chakra and an evil chakra.
No, because it goes back to like that Naruto training where it's like there are 5 like chakra natures, and then like Yamato shows up and he has the wood style, right? So like Naruto's like, what nature falls into wood actually? And he's like, what? Okay, give me a second. And he does like his whole thing where it's like it's actually Kekkei Genkai, like wood and water combined together. Haku's the same way too, and he's like, oh, so wait, hold on. So what about like Shikamaru's like shadow possession? What about like, or yeah, and then like Choji's like expansion stuff. Like what's all that about? And Kakashi's like, let's not talk about that. It takes a while. And Yamato's like, Kakashi, I think we should save the lecture for yin yang chakra stuff for later. And Naruto's like, wait, what? Like yin and Kakashi's like, no, let's just focus on what we got.
Never touched it again.
Never touched it again, and I was like, I want to know.
If you're ever at a con and Kishimoto's there, you can ask that question.
This is true. Like, there's so much that, and you know, I think with Boruto, the idea with Boruto, I think it kind of just gets past that. Like, aside from like obviously the tuning exams, like them as Genin trying to become like even greater than that. They don't really talk about
Sarada learning about how her entire clan was wiped out by her uncle.
Yeah, that's certainly something, right? Like a lot of that kind of stuff is like really interesting, like, but it is a character driven thing. So unless they're seeking it out, you're not getting that information. Because at this point, like, we're not really talking about like the ninja like build up or like just the foundation of chakra and everything like that. We're now just talking about like ninja tools. We're talking about like the Otsuki clan. We're talking about like whatever.
We're talking about society and the very foundation of the entire world, essentially.
Yeah, which I think is also pretty good too. To its credit,
isn't that pretty much what it is when you bring up the Otsukis?
Yeah, because Otsukis are essentially like the guys from the moon.
They're aliens. They're alien gods.
Yeah, and the fact that Kaguya was there as like that, like she was like based on Earth essentially.
Kaguya was people say Kaguya was introduced solely because they made Madara too strong.
But no, I kind of like the insert if that was the case, because like Madara is like cool and all, and he got to a point where he's like super strong. Same with Ashirama, but like if there's a higher like plane of power that kind of like was the foundation, the things that like Madara was trying to like get to attain, then I think that's kind of cool. Now that they're talking about like, oh, Kaguya was, you know, yeah, she was a menace, but she wasn't the only menace.
But she was written in to stop a bigger menace.
Oh yeah, I guess so. So
Because that's what I was always told. I don't know how true it is. I was always told, like I was always told that people felt like Kishimoto wrote himself into a corner with how broken he'd made Madara, that he's like, I need to make a very powerful villain like right now.
well, I guess also they could have just simply like made Madara like that hype, and then he would be the final like boss, and that I think that would been pretty clean too. Granted, it doesn't do anything as far as like restore Uchiha, like, you know, the Uchihas, right? Everyone would still look at them and be like, they are a problem. Sorry, with Madara, I could just easily like go down to it. Sasuke is a good example. But I guess if you were trying to write Sasuke back as a redeeming character, you might have to deal with that. Granted, Madara still didn't do any justice in that, but
I don't know. I mean, after Itachi passed, aren't there only like 3 other Uchihas, being Obito and Marita and Sasuke?
I think so at that time, like at that point. But now it really is just Sasuke and Sarada. Like that's the only Uchiha blood. I was thinking like, how could Sasuke sperm bank?
I mean, you'd think, right?
Bomb, yeah.
But the thing is, one thing that because I was watching this video from CJ to Champ covering characters with Black Air Force energy.
Get out of here.
You know, Madara being the vice president of the Black Air Force Energy Council.
Okay, all right.
Kid Buu being the president.
Kid Buu,
but,
okay.
Because he's a universal menace. But Madara, I saw some of the shenanigans this man had been up to. Because I knew about the meteor, I knew about that. Did not know about the second one behind it.
Yeah, no, he's that was such a like.
He said, but what are you going to do about the second one? I was like, I beg your pardon.
That was such a really good scene. That was the perfect portrayal of like Madara is like that guy. He is like he's the Sephiroth.
And of course, I've also heard people tell the legends of him taking on the 5,000 army with hand-to-hand combat. I remember hearing about that.
Oh, you gotta see it. It's wild.
Oh, I've seen this. I've seen the scene.
Oh, okay.
And then and it was good. But there's also the. Then we get to some shenanigans where I was like, Kishimoto, calm down. Because where I see he makes all the clones of themselves. Do you or do you not want them to use Susanoo? I was like, I beg your pardon.
He was that guy. Like he was ready to throw down. It was just a matter of, can you take that?
And not only that, the fact of after the resurrection thing wore off, he simply cast it to bring himself back to life.
I think he was just as much of a menace as a reanimation, and that's perfect. But you know, he wanted to bleed again. He wanted to feel it again.
I was just sitting there. I was like, wait a minute. How is that allowed? How does he even know how to do that?
He's got some crazy shenanigans going on, and he was living it.
Because he literally just said, okay, I'm going back? No, I don't think I will.
Yeah.
And he then proceeded to beat the shit out of the tailed beasts, and then he proceeded to...
What was it, absorb it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when he got even stronger, and that's when he cast that's when he could literally just not die. Might Guy's the only person who got close, and then after that is when he cast the infinite Tsukuyomi, and that's when Kagura had to come in.
Yeah.
I was like,
no,
it just sounds like you built this man up too high.
But I think that's the whole point too. Is the fact that, and I'm not really defending the storyline here in the sense that Kaguya like steps in for this, but yeah, no, like who else would then stop him at that point?
Well, it's because I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm just sitting there. I was like, okay, like it makes sense for the development of the Otsutsukis. I think that's what he was going for. That's what Kishimoto was going for. At least that's I think how he wanted it to appear, is that this was what was supposed to happen.
Yeah,
And it could be, or it could be improvisation. I don't know, but the people were he was at least able to make it work.
yeah.
That's important, is that he was able to make it work. But like I remember a lot of people saying that before. Like that's what they've always told me, is that, oh, Kishimoto absolutely wrote Kaguya in because he made Madara way too strong.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me, which would, like, I wonder if anyone's ever asked him that question, like, was Kaguya a write-in because you made Madara too strong?
I don't think he'd be willing to admit that.
You see?
I wouldn't be. I'd be like, no.
Could you admit your faults?
No, Kaguya's too cool. She's part of the Otsuki clan. It's all part of the design. Although, seeing the development on Boruto and Kawaki's side as far as like using karma and whatnot, definitely is a whole new like different thing. I still am not quite like adjusted to that in sense I like really like weave it into like the whole like chakra like power scaling stuff, but honestly it's just at a point where it's like, you know, that we kind of like already went through that and now we're seeing another generation and we got to do something different with that. So fair enough.
Well, it says here that I've heard people say that. I was never told that Kishimoto said that, but apparently apparently that was a statement people kept saying he said, and they were debunking it. So I was like, I mean, I didn't know people said that he said that. I was just telling what people told me.
Sure. So it's like, yeah.
But I mean, but I mean, like I said, I haven't really. Here's the thing: I know lore. I know the lore from Naruto, but I've never actually watched the series as a whole.
It definitely has its own. It definitely has charm to it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like I've seen parts. Like I've seen parts where I'm like, okay, that's a nifty scene. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's just that I haven't gone through I haven't taken my time to actually sit down and watch everything, because I'm like, that's a lot to watch.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a ton to watch if I just did what I did with Bleach and then just go through list that, like, you know, directs me away from all the filler.
Yeah. I think if anything, like the filler does like good just to kind of world build in the sense that like just fill it up with stuff.
Yeah, but it don't need it.
They don't need it because it really like the story is so focused in on our characters. It's not really impactful as to like how they impact the world, but moreover like the immediate area. So in that immediate area is always the Leaf Village. It always is the Leaf Village.
With Shippuden being about 40% filler.
That's tough, bro. It's real
40,
tough.
40%. I was like, are you telling me almost half of this show doesn't even matter?
Not to the main plot, no.
That's the grand scheme of things, the actual story now.
Yeah. It's all part of like just an entire world, but like there's one path to like really focus in on.
And of course, there can be characters that are good filler characters. Like I always say, like take for example Pikkon in Dragon Ball. I think he's an example of a non-canon character who's a fantastic.
Yeah.
Like Pikkon is a fan favorite.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think about that. Like when you build a story up, obviously like the writer, the one having the ideas is the one who makes the plain that direct story. So, you know, branching off things are like afterthoughts of that character or that person, if not like suggestions like given by other folks. So it's like obviously it becomes canon once it's like out there, but like, well, I mean, canon, quote unquote, when it's out there, but it's that gets to an abstract like point about like what's real, what ain't, you know?
What is?
It's actually It's a bit too much, actually. When I think about Naruto, it's like obviously I know the main like plot points here and there. And then the filler, like, bruh, the ostrich.
I've heard about that.
There's a fighting ostrich that seems to have persisted retroactively. Mind you, I just said retroactively. In like
I've heard about the fighting ostrich.
About pre-time skip Naruto fighting this dude, and then post time skip Naruto fighting this dude. There's also like a special about like the Mecha Naruto. Bruh, it's so wild. Oh my god. I did see Mecha Naruto in like the Storm trailer. So it's like everybody's coming back. Even like that one character. I think it was that one Tekken character who's in like Storm 2 exclusively. I think he's coming back too. That was so fun.
They did say it would have the largest roster of all the games.
It's true. My god, dude. But yeah, that game was fun for sure. I love the spectacle of it. But yeah, man, dude, that was such a wild thing to like go off on, but I'm glad we did. I'm glad we talked about Naruto. Naruto was part of my childhood, so I kind of have to like be there for him. But man, dude. Man, were there some problems.
I mean, no series is perfect.
No series is perfect, except for Chainsaw Man, but you know.
I don't know about that.
Hey, let's not do this right now. No, actually, the thing with Chainsaw Man is I like really love what they do with it, because for the short amount of time that I've seen of like the cast and characters, there's a lot like in there. There's a lot of like lore, potential lore, like subtle things I notice. And you know, that's just because of like how it's written up, how like the creator had thought about everything. And that's not to the detriment of talking about like Naruto and whatnot. Naruto was just simply there at the time, and it made sense to me at that time. And as it's progressed further in, it's definitely had to do a couple things to kind of like.
And I'm not saying Chainsaw Man isn't good. Of course, it's good. But I was like, perfect. I mean, I'm sure it'll find something in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's just very hard to ever have a series that can be quote unquote perfect.
Yeah. But there's definitely series that like connect to people like in a big way, for sure. Even if it's like not the most perfect thing in the world, for sure. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to say this too, because it was one of the shows that is probably like the quote unquote trash fire, as far as like there's nothing really going on with the show like that's impactful. It's just definitely like an eye candy to watch because of just like how over the top it is. What was it? I think it's called Eminence in the Shadow or something along the lines of that.
Oh yeah, I know the show you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it does the whole like shonen protagonist isekai thing in a way that's obviously predictable, but it's also very charming in what it decides to do. So I'm actually trying to like, I think it's only on Hive Dive, so I have to like subscribe to that at least for like a free month trial or something like that, and just like watch everything, because I think that's just like one of the shows that may not be like too far in depth, but it's just a fun watch, and that in and of itself is fine. That and rom-coms. Doesn't need to be anything crazy about it, but it's entertaining nonetheless. But yeah. But TLDR, to kind of go full circle, yeah, we'll probably check out Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections whenever it comes out this year. It is this year, so pre-orders are live. So I guess we'll see. I'm personally hoping that it'll just bring back a community players, so that like we do online stuff, it's there.
Oh boy.
Let's see. That was pretty much all I had for the state of play stuff. Real quick with Pokemon, I know that Pokemon Day is upon us. It's gonna be next Monday. Like, I have an early in the morning stream in regards to like what's going on. It's about like 20 to 25 minutes. In the meantime, this weekend you have a chance to fight the 7th-star Pikachu. I've already taken care of that. I've posted my respective videos about like how to deal with that Pikachu. Nothing special about it, which was really interesting, but I guess it makes sense. It is Pokemon Day, or at least it will be by the time it ends. the games that released this weekend were Octopath Traveler 2 and Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and that's mainly on Nintendo. On the Nintendo side of things. I think this past week, I think, was it Like a Dragon Ishin was also released, I believe. And then there's another one. Well, Atomic Heart was also that too. So actually, yeah, a fair number of games like this past week too. So there's a lot. I'm still playing through Skull, dude. It's fun, but like it's also kind of frustrating as a roguelike. It's currently holding me back on my backlog. So I'm like, I gotta deal with that. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to address so far. Definitely, yeah, I'm glad we were able to talk about Naruto. It was on my mind for a while since like Storm Connections got brought up again. I was like, that's a show I liked a lot. I still do like it, but you know, it's definitely taking some like different like paths for itself. So it is what it is. But yeah, I think we're good. So Mark, if there's anything else, feel free to say so. Otherwise, I think we're good to call.
New trailer. There's a new teaser trailer for Mashal Magic and Muscles that I'd recommend going and check out because it's like, hey, that's gonna be a good series when it comes out. Also, I'm seeing clips from Crunchyroll showing certain scenes from My Hero. I'm like, they're there at that point in the series.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we're getting far right now.
They're speeding up. I saw a little bit of it.
We get a little danger close.
Danger close. So I think we're really getting there. We're really getting there. Not just in the manga, but also the anime as well as catching up. You know, we didn't talk about Ant-Man. I don't know if you really want how much you want.
We can now, or we can wait for Fiddler and
Okay, maybe we'll wait until then because there is quite a bit to say about that, and that would take another hour or so.
Just stop being a dick.
Yeah, that's the moral story. Just stop being a dick. There's always time to stop being a dick.
That was probably the funniest part of the entire movie. Like that made me laugh harder than anything. I laughed at other stuff, but that without a doubt got me the best.
Have I killed you before? You're not the one with the hammer, right? No, that's Thor. We can mistake the love with our party stuff. So no, hold on, boss. I will say, I really liked Ant-Man in this one, specifically as a character. Scott's already in it. He's an Avenger. He knows what he can do. And as far as combat, like he's fully experienced on that. So I think it's just a really cool return to form type of movie.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing now.
Yeah. But the way they ended it really is really leading towards something.
Yeah, and I stayed for both after credit scenes.
Cool. You already know my story.
You have no idea what happened to you.
I don't. Don't tell me like right now, but you know. All right, we'll go and go on for now. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for this episode of DangIT Prodcast. It's been episode 448. My name is Justin.
Bye.
And thanks for watching, everybody. #bye, everybody.